Good evening, chat. Hello. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. No, one more thing. I forgot to change. Sorry about that, chat. We had to get some things changed up here. But, anyways, hello. Had to fix something that hadn't got set yet. Anyways, good evening, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you are doing well. Hope you guys have had a nice day. If you had the chance to be with your family and friends, I hope you were able to enjoy it. If you weren't able to do that, well, hopefully tonight we can. Hopefully tonight you feel like you're having a fun time with some people, and we get to talk about some fun stuff and have a couple of laughs along the way. So, welcome everybody. If you are new, my name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am a defense attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and this is the Thursday show. This is the weekly show. It's I think it's probably one of the best shows out there. It's the best show on YouTube. Probably. If you had to make me choose, I would say yes. Other people might not agree, but that's what I would argue. It's the best damn show on the internet. And this is what we normally do. We got a lot of topics tonight, a ton of topics, some of them funny, some of them serious. And we are going to get started on those real quick. Jeff Bird is saying the casino's on fire tonight. I bet they are. And we'll get to some of the things the casino is talking about tonight, covering the RQ, the Rekeita question. We will get to that, but we're not going to get there right away. We've got some other topics, some other issues we need to address, and we're going to get to those as well. So I want to say hello to everybody out there. If you guys are watching, we are live on Rumble. I did not turn Rumble on. That's a problem, chat. Sorry, Rumble. I need to turn Rumble stream on. Kind of forgot to do that. Whoops. Let me see here. So we're gonna just that's my fault, chat. But we are live on Twitch. We are live on YouTube. We will be live on Rumble in about a half a second here. So just give me 1 second, guys. My apologies to all the Rumblers out there. I know many of you do like Rumble. But we are live on Rumble now. We are going to be live in like 2 seconds now. We should be live on Rumble. You guys should be out there enjoying that. So if you're out there, let me know it's working because, sometimes Rumble does what it wants to do. But if you guys are out there, like I said, I would appreciate that. We are also live here on YouTube. Obviously, many of you are watching here on YouTube. Thank you for being here. And then last but not least, we are live on Locals. And if you guys don't know what Locals is basically everything we wanted Patreon to be, but Patreon didn't have the balls to do. And that's where you could find us over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. And yes, just like Patreon, you could join for free. It costs you no money to join. And I sincerely mean that. You join the community for free. We post stuff up there all the time. I post things, other people will post things, and you could do that for free. What you do get to do is if you wish to support me, you can support me there for $3 a month. You pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. It's a pretty good bargain. 12 months in the year, I know. I'm thinking ahead, chat, thinking ahead. And with that support, you also get access to the live shows. We do 2 shows a week. Every Monday night, we get to hang out over there. And then every Thursday night. So after this show is over, we go over there and we get to hang out and have some fun. And it's a lot of fun there. We get to talk about things you can't talk about here. Believe it or not, there are topics YouTube will not let you cover still. A lot of the stuff and, anything involving, guns, or there might be other topics. It seems like they're easing up on some of the stuff, but for a while, there was a lot of stuff you couldn't talk about here on YouTube. And guess what? Locals lets you do it. So it's a very fun time there, but we also will cover things that we didn't get the chance to get to here, or might not be appropriate for the show. And I'm not saying inappropriate. They don't fit well with, the context of what we normally talk about here on YouTube. So it's always a fun time there. And the live shows, the after show usually goes, we try to usually go at least an hour or so minimum. Sometimes we'll go longer. Tonight we're going to go long, and I'll be here as we get snowed in. So apparently we're going to get anywhere from 8 inches to 3 feet. We don't really know of snow. So we'll be doing that and taking care of that, and that'll be tonight. We also have on every Thursday night, we have a live chat going. If you guys want to join that, it's a live chat. You can join, and you can post all the things you are not allowed to post here on YouTube. If I see them, I will comment on them. They are very funny, and I will definitely be doing that. Shay Church says, need more posts on locals like I still were on other streams. Yeah, I will, but I haven't been on anybody's stuff lately, but we will be doing that. But also, guys, if you aren't sure about what you want to do, use the promo code POTCRIM. You get 1 month free, 1 month free access. If you don't like it afterwards, it's okay. No obligation. So hope to see you there. Shay says, the miracle mirrored up, bish. Oh, no. Some of you guys are ridiculous. Let's see. Hold on here. Where are we? Well, there's a million of you guys. And real quick, we got this comment from Chef Clyde saying, "Hi, Dad. Hi, buddy. You were such a good boy today. We left you. We went out for Thanksgiving. We came back, and you didn't cause any problems. Chef Clyde is a good boy, the goodest of boys." Oh. Ann says hello from Canada. Well, hello, Ann. James says, I like the Stoney's plate. Well, you're welcome. Yeah, it's Stoney's, and we'll get to that. Speaking of Stoney's, Stoney's Bar and Grill wanted to sponsor the show at 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota. Guys, what can I say about Stoney's? They are the place to be. They are the place to be. And even though it's Thanksgiving, chat, Stoney's is open starting at 5 p.m. today. They were open at 5, getting ready for Thursday night, as it says on the license plate, chat, home of the $2 cans on Thursdays. So you know what? Get some turkey in you and then go get tore up. No better plan. No better plan for it. Take advantage of it. Friday, they've got the Buck Band, not the Buck Broken Band, just the Buck Band. And then Saturday, the Unwanted. So, guys, take time to find yourself over at Stoney's. Like I said again, 158 East Broadway Street, Rockville, Minnesota. Stoney's celebrating 30 years. And then, real quick, though, our other two sponsors, real quick, just so we can get them out of the way now. We got the dragonstreasure.com, a haven for tea and anime lovers. Guys, use the promo code CRIMINAL. You get 10% off all of your teas, your coffees, and your soaps. Yes, the tea man does sell coffee and soap. So is he still the tea man? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to shake it. Once you get a name like that going, you have the brand identity. Can you really be anything other than the tea man? I mean, no, but he does dabble in those other areas. So get yourself some tea, get yourself some coffee, and get yourself some soap. I know soap for a lot of you anime lovers out there is kind of a foreign concept. Maybe it's your mortal enemy, but you can't show up at the con smelling, guys. So get some soap. Take care of yourself. Storm Peterson says, wash your penis. Wash your penis. And that's at thedragonstreasure.com with the promo code CRIMINAL. And then our last but not least, MAF-arms.com. Chat, you know him, you love him. It's Fudbusters, and it's his company, MAF-arms.com, the premier wind chime dealer in all of Central Florida. Guys, use the promo code POTCRIM. You get 10% off. And if you order in the next 20 minutes by 10 p.m. Eastern time, Matt will mail you an entire turkey basted in CLP. You heard it right. Entire turkey, basted and marinated in CLP. So, guys, hit them up. We had Matt on earlier. We were talking about the response to the lawsuit that he filed against Cody Wilson over copyright of the 3D printed gun renderings and also the instructions and a couple other parts and pieces. So, yes, help Matt out. I'm sure he would appreciate your business there. So, like I said, promo code POTCRAM, 10% off. Here, where is... No, that's how you get rid of it. It wouldn't go away. Actually, there's a Stoney's plate, yes. Jim says, happy Thanksgiving, Sean, and 2.0. Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Oh. Demon's Wrath, I can't go. I can't show the gamer words on stream. I think that actually would get me in trouble. Oh. Let's see. Armin says, what a deal. Oh, it's always a deal. It's never a bad deal. Never a bad deal. Let's see, what am I looking at for here? Okay, we need to... Normally, I wouldn't get all the super chats right away, but John Coleman is saying, is Stoney's code for Ram Ranch? No. No, it is not. Stoney's is a place. It's a magical place, not for ramming. And it's not a place for ranching either. You can't do... Not in that part of Minnesota. Not in that part of Minnesota. There might be other places in central Minnesota, maybe in Candy-White County, where there's some Ram Ranch activities. But not at Stoney's. Not at Stoney's. Mr. 9x19 says, did I ever get a Kalashnikov parts kit yet? No, I did not. Not yet. Something to work on. I think I'd like to do a Plastikov at some point here. So that's at some point we will do that, but not right now. Not right now. Oh, Jesus Christ, chat. Jesus Christ. All right. So we're going to start off with Jack Smith bending the knee. You guys remember special counsel Jack Smith up against the Emperor of Mankind, Donald J. Trump himself. Well, he had the cases going. He had the case down in Florida, which Judge Eileen Cannon tossed out for multiple reasons. And I told you before that case was going to the 11th Circuit and it was going to get tossed back. Well, we didn't have to worry about that because Donald Trump won the election. And now he is, once again, President-elect Donald J. Trump. So what does that mean? Well, that means the end for Jack Smith now. And Jack Smith has bent the knee officially. And it's over. It's done. It's dunny. Whatever you'd like to call it, however you'd like to call it. It's all over. You know, start the buses. Start jingling the keys, chat. It's done. We are done. And why is this not loading for me? There we go. So it's time to get started here. He's on both knees technically. Yes. Yes. So we have both cases. Remember, there's two cases, chat. There's two cases. There is the case that we'll start with the first one in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, what happened here? Well, two things happened. There was a motion to dismiss everything. And the way it works is if you have a case going before an appeals court, obviously, if you don't file anything, the court will dismiss a case. That's one way to get a case tossed out of court. And here's the deal. You don't ever do that. You don't just quit. If it's done, you let them know. And so what do we see here in the 11th Circuit, United States Court of Appeals, United States of America versus Donald Trump, Walty Nada, and Carlos de Oliveira. Where are we? It's on appeal from the Southern District of Florida. And the motion to dismiss the appeal as to Donald J. Trump. Notice, there are these guys too, Walt Nada and Carlos de Oliveira. They have a case as well that got dismissed. But notice, their only motion to dismiss the appeal is the Donald J. Trump. So just one of them. The other two guys, it's still in play. It's still in play. So they start off with this, and it's the certificate of interested persons. So here are all the people who might be interested persons pursuant to 11th Circuit rules and federal appellate rules. Well, you just keep going. We just keep going. Like, you see people on here like Todd Blanche, Trump's attorneys, Pam Bondi, the former Florida Attorney General, the American Center for Law and Justice. That's Jay Sekulow. You have all kinds of people. ABC, Emil Bove, Trump's other attorney, Jay Bratt, one of the U.S. attorneys involved at the lower level, Eileen Cannon, CBS, Crew, those scumbags from Colorado that got Trump all screwed over, Citizens United, George Conway, the cuck that he is. You know, all these groups here, Wall Street Journal, it just keeps going and 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 going. Not the state of Ohio, a little disappointed there. And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps finally ends. 190 potential people. Ends right there. Respectfully submitted, not even by Jack Smith. He didn't sign it. By one of his assistant special counsels. Jack Smith didn't have the balls to put his name on the motion to dismiss. So what's the motion to dismiss, Chad? It's actually very simple. As a result, the election held, defendant Donald J. Trump will be inaugurated as president in January 2025. For the reasons set forth, the United States v. Trump, filed in District of Columbia, filed November 25th. And it's the idea that they can't prosecute a sitting president pursuant to Office of Legal Counsel decisions. The United States of America moves pursuant to Federal Appellate Rule 42 and 11th Circuit Rule 42-1 to dismiss the appeal, in this case as to defendant Trump only. Only President Trump. The other two guys are still out there on their own. Now, Trump could just pardon them and end it, and I'm hoping he does that, but we'll see. We'll see. Dismissing appeals to Trump will leave in place the court's order dismissing the indictment without prejudice to him. The appeal concerning the two other defendants will continue because, unlike Trump, there is no principled temporary immunity. The government has consulted with counsel for defendant Trump, who obviously does not object this motion. Once again, Jack Smith wouldn't sign it because he's a little girl and he had his henchmen do it. And that's it. This motion contains 154 words. And chat, this is the motion right here. This is the motion. All that above it is not the motion. This is the motion. So that is the totality of it. 154 words, and that is them taking the knee. And that's the certificate of service. And then from here, we get to the 11th Circuit. And what do? Well, this is the order of the court. And from here, I mean, once you say you don't want to pursue a case, remember, the court can't force the prosecutor to pursue a case. So the appellant's motion to dismiss the appeal to Donald J. Trump only is granted. There you go, signed. And it's, by the clerk of the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, entered for the court by direction. That's it. That's all it is when it comes to dismissing things, chat. You're not going to see these extensive courts like, okay, you said you're done. All right, cool. Have a good one. Peace out. Like it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to dismiss things here. It does not take much. So that is it. Now, why is everything there done? Well, that's it. That's it. There's, like I told you guys, we think this would be a lot better. We think this would be very good, but yeah. So we are hold on, chat. Oh, where is the thing I was looking for here? Where is it? Holy crap! Here, I was looking for. Crap! I forget what I was looking for. Sorry, Chad. I lost what I was looking for here. Oh, shoot. Okay, here we go. Now I was looking for. Sorry. So that is the first step. The case in Florida is done. It's done for Trump. The other parties, it's still going to continue. And like I said, I still think it's going to get reversed at the end of the day. I don't think it's going to get any better. That's just the nature of it, guys. I wish I could tell you, that's going to change for those guys. It's going to get reversed. They're going to have to go back down and deal with it. That doesn't mean they won't get anything. So that is the ultimate issue here. What's going to happen? Like I said, it's going to come back. You're going to have to deal with it. Trump is on his own. Now, Trump could still come back and pardon these guys and get them out of trouble, which I think he will at that point, but I just don't know if they're going to do it. I just don't know when or how, but he's going to have to do it at some point. And we will find out from there. Now, there are other things that have happened. Because we had all that. We had all this. What else did we learn? Well, the big thing that came through was what happened in the District of Columbia, because that happened as well, and it's done now. And why is this? Oh, there we go. That's what I needed. All right. All right, I don't know why I got all stuck in here. Sorry. This is just turning into a mess. What are you guys saying down here? 10K view, those texts are what I guess constitutes keeping in touch. Oh, you guys are talking about Han. All right. So we have the other issues with Trump, and now here are the other things that happened. This is filed on 11/25. So this past week, and that would have been on Monday. And look what it is in the District of Columbia. It is Trump's motion the government's motion to dismiss against Donald J. Trump. So in the District of Columbia against Trump, government's motion to dismiss. So here we are. Once again, this is a similar thing, guys. I know everybody wants to pop champagne, but it's only a partial win. So they point out, as a result of the election, he will be inaugurated on January 20th, 2025. And they say it's been a long position of the DOJ. The U.S. Constitution forbids the indictment and subsequent prosecution of a sitting president. That doesn't mean he can't be prosecuted afterwards. But the president and the country have never faced a circumstance where a federal indictment against a private citizen has been returned and the prosecution is already underway when the defendant is elected president. And they're admitting it. Like, look, this is neat. This is different. Confronted with the unprecedented situation, special counsel consulted with the Office of Legal Counsel, whose interpretation of questions such as those here is binding on department prosecutors. After careful consideration, they decide, and as a result of this prosecution must be dismissed before the defendant is inaugurated. That prohibition is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the government stands fully behind. That's their way of saying, look, we still think this is a sound prosecution. We support it 1,000%. But because of the situation that occurred outside of this case, events beyond our control, we have to dismiss it now. We cannot prosecute him while he's out there. And they say, based on the department's interpretation of the Constitution, the government moves for dismissal without prejudice, meaning they have the right to file later, of the indictment under Federal Rule 48. The government's conferred with defense counsel, who does not object, and I don't think I've ever objected before. But you could theoretically. Now, they talk about the legal standard. Rule 48 allows the government to dismiss an indictment with the leave of court, meaning you just have to, notify them, we seek a motion to dismiss. They point out the district court's role in granting leave is circumscribed, but may include consideration from the government's stated reasons for seeking dismissal. There's a strong presumption such a dismissal should be granted without prejudice. And notice how easy it is here. What they cited here. Remember when General Flynn, they tried to dismiss the case against him? You had Judge Sullivan sitting there and demanding hearings and answers and evidence and proof. No, the government can say, fuck it, we're done. Bye. That's it. And that's how it should be. Now, they go back through the history of the case in August of 2023. A federal grand jury of citizens, and they include that to try to get their kicks in. They try to get their kicks in here. This is how they do it, chat. This is how they do it. So the District of Columbia found a probable cause for indictment, charging the defendant with 4 felony and conviction with his efforts with Congress's certification of the 2020 election and the lawful transfer of presidential power, which I still think is bullshit. They point out after the Supreme Court held last summer in Trump v. United States, and I don't like how they say last summer. I mean, it has passed. It's our last summer. But I would argue when you say last summer, you mean like the year before. Like this past summer makes a little more sense. But they argued the defendant's immune from prosecution for certain abuses of official power alleged in the original indictment. And then that's when they got the second grand jury to return the superseding indictment. And guys, we talked about it. They removed a lot of the official acts, and it really took a lot out of their sales. But they still think they have enough. Okay? And then in September of 2024, the government filed a motion explaining that the conduct charged in the superseding indictment was not immune from prosecution under Trump, and the case should proceed to trial. So they're arguing that a lot of what they had, everything they had still was valid to prosecute. That outside of that official immunity, and remember, even Trump conceded, not everything he did was protected under official immunity. Now, I think Trump made those arguments thinking I could go back and make First Amendment issues and just issues these are not crimes. And I think he probably has a convincing argument there. But remember, even during the oral arguments, Trump conceded not everything he did would have been an official act. They point out the government's position on the merits of the defendant's prosecution has not changed, but the circumstances have. As a result, the election is held on November 5th. The defendant will be certified as president-elect on January 6th. Yes, he will. And inaugurated on January 20th, 2025. This sets at odds two fundamental and compelling national interests. On one hand, the Constitution's requirement the president must not be unduly encumbered in fulfilling his weighty responsibilities. And that's from Nixon versus Fitzgerald in 1982. And they say the president occupies a unique position and is entrusted with supervisory and policy responsibilities of utmost discretion and sensitivity. Yep, he is. And on the other hand, the nation's commitment to the rule of law and the long-standing principle that no man in this country is so high that he's above the law, unless you're Joe Biden or Hunter Biden or Bill Clinton or Valerie Jarrett or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. Or there's a lot of people who are above the law. There are a lot of people who escape man's justice. Given the unprecedented circumstance, special counsel consulted with the Office of Legal Counsel, and they, which by delegation of the Attorney General, provide controlling legal advice to the executive branch, including the department. And that is important here, guys. The Office of Legal Counsel does issue legal opinions and guidance to the DOJ, and the DOJ has to rely on it. So the OLC has twice before addressed the amenability to federal prosecution of a sitting president. The first one was drafted during Watergate in 1973 and explored whether the Constitution's impeachment judgment clause prohibits federal criminal prosecution of a sitting president before the exhaustion of the impeachment process. And if not, whether the sitting president is subject to prosecution. And these are actual things that are out there. You can look it up. Here it is. It's it's regarding the amenability of the president, vice president, and other officers to federal prosecution while in office. And this was September 24th, 1973. You can actually read this opinion. It is out there and available. They argued and they concluded the impeachment judgment clause did not preclude prosecution of a sitting president, but that criminal prosecution of a sitting president would violate the separation of powers and would duly interfere in a direct or formal sense with the conduct of the presidency. And they say in 2000, in the wake of the first presidential impeachment in more than a century, the OLC issued a second opinion revisiting the question of whether a sitting president could be criminally charged, and again concluded that charging and prosecuting a sitting president would impermissibly threaten the constitutional separation of powers because it would harm the president's ability to fulfill his constitutional roles. And guys, remember, what happened around 2000? What all happened there? It's like that's somebody we've heard of that guy who was president in 2000. Just weird like that. Weird like that. So they argue the 2000 opinion reasoned that doing so would impose three burdens that would make it impossible for the president to carry out his duties. One, the burden of imprisonment would physically prevent the president from doing his work. There's two, the stigma and opprobrium of which would weaken the president's ability to fulfill his duties and leadership roles. And three, the mental and physical burdens associated with preparing a defense to a prosecution, which might severely hamper the president's performance of his duties. Yeah, if he's worried about keeping his ass out of prison, he's going to have his attention divided. And OLC concluded that because of that, the constitutional interest in the president's unfettered performance of his duties must take precedence over the immediate enforcement of a criminal law against him. So they adopted a categorical rule against indictment or prosecution of a sitting president. And they said, well, recognizing that a charge might not impose all three burdens, the opinion deemed it perilous for the role to turn on a case-by-case assessment. And it would. And that's a problem because you would get political decisions made. And they point out both these opinions say the president is not above it. But there's a national interest in upholding the law and upholding this rule. And they say the president is not above the law and he's ultimately accountable for his misconduct that occurs before, during, and after his service to the country. So they also talk about the harms the presidency might be ameliorated by returning an indictment against the president but holding subsequent proceedings in abeyance. Yeah, they've thought about, well, we could just indict him and hold off on it. And they say the ability to perform his functions would be unduly burdened by the mere pendency of an indictment against him, which he would have to defend after leaving office. And that's the point. Even if we just indicted him, and you know what, we said, okay, well, we're going to put it off to the side. The fact there's an indictment looming out there, basically looming over his shoulder the whole time, that alone, the pall that it would cast, is unduly burdensome. And I that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, they ultimately argued in 2000 a sitting president is immune from indictment as well as from further criminal process. So that's what does that mean? You're prohibited from indictment as well as anything else. So it would prohibit an indictment even if all the charges were postponed until after the president left office. It's done. So what does that get us to here? Ultimately, we get to the department's position is that the Constitution requires a case be dismissed before the defendant is inaugurated. And although the Constitution requires dismissal consistent with the temporary nature of immunity afforded to sitting president, it does not require dismissal with prejudice. Now they point that out. So it's not an automatic and complete bar, just a temporary bar. And they say this outcome is not based on the merits or strength of the case against the defendant. And they say for the foregoing reasons, the government respectfully moves under federal rule of criminal procedure number 48 for dismissal without prejudice of the superseding indictment signed by Jack Smith himself. He wouldn't do it in Florida, but he showed up here to cuck. He bent that knee. Jackie boy bent the knee. Jackie boy bent. So that is it for Jack. Brittany brings up, and this is we're going to get this in a second, Brittany, so don't worry. That's a question I think we all need to discuss. That is a question we're all going to need to discuss. So that happened. And then from there, Judge Tanya Chutkan. Now, I still think there's an issue of having non-U.S. citizens, people who are not naturally born, being on the judiciary like this, but at some point, I guess I have concerns. Anyway, she goes through this, and she says that, there's a motion to dismiss, so she makes her own opinion. And she says that the government may leave the court, dismiss an indictment, and she says the principal object of leave the court has been understood to be a narrow one, and it's to protect the defendant against prosecutorial harassment when the government moves to dismiss the indictment over the defendant's objection. And they say here the defendant consents to dismissal, and there's no indication the dismissal is part of a scheme or is otherwise improper. So there you go. It's pretty easy, straightforward. The government explains the dismissal is pursuant to DOJ policy and precedent. The court will therefore grant it. Notice it wasn't this easy for General Flynn. And they say dismissal without prejudice is appropriate here. Now notice there's two kinds. With prejudice and then without prejudice. Without prejudice means it can always be refiled. With prejudice means it's gone. Done. Alec Baldwin's case is an example of a dismissal with prejudice. Now, she points out that the court may override the presumption when dismissal without prejudice would result in harassment or be contrary to the manifest public interest or society's interest in it. And she said there's no indication of prosecutorial harassment, and the defendant isn't asking the court to do so. Now, I don't know why Trump and his attorneys didn't do it, but I would argue there's always the idea of just, you got your win, get the fuck out the door, and then we'll deal with it later. And that's probably what they're doing. So they go through all this, and they say, accordingly, the court will grant the defendant's motion to dismiss and dismiss superseding indictment without prejudice. A separate order will accompany this opinion from November 25th. Tanya Chutkan, U.S. District Judge. And then she did this, the order. And she comes through here with her order and dismisses the case pursuant to what she filed previously. And she says the government's motion to dismiss is hereby granted and the superseding indictment is hereby dismissed without prejudice. Tanya Chutkan, District Judge, done. It's all done, chat. It's done. It's done. Dunny. It's done. So what does this mean for us? Well, for right now, it's done. That's probably Chutkan's most unbiased opinion. I'm sure it is, given how she's treated the January 6th defendants. All right, so it's without prejudice. It is without prejudice, chat. It's without prejudice. It's over. It's done. And we'll go back to this just so you can see. It is without prejudice. Right there, the last line, without prejudice. Without prejudice. Meaning it's done, it can come back. And Luke is right. It's not done. It's only starting. Yep. Now, Brittany asked a great question, and I don't know the answer to this. Is there a statute of limitations? Yes, there's a statute of limitations for all crimes. Even murder technically is a statute of limitations. That statute of limitations is forever. But in these cases, there are statutes of limitations. Now, the statute of limitations is always running, except in times where it is told. Now, there are times where you can toll the statute of limitations. And I think the government would argue this period right now where Donald Trump has immunity. Now, it'll be from the day he's inaugurated, January 20th, 2025, until January 20th, 2029. That will stop because he's immune from prosecution there. The government's going to argue that that immunity is effectively tolls or puts on pause the clock from counting down, because think of statute of limitations like the game clock in football, and it counts down to 0, it's over. But imagine if instead you could hit pause on the clock, and then at some point you could restart the clock again, and then it would keep ticking away, but after you paused it. The government certainly is going to make the argument, I could see the DOJ doing it, well, we're going to restart it now. And I seriously believe that would be the DOJ's position. Would that work? I don't know. Would the court consider the immunity to toll at time? I could see them saying that. I could also see the court saying, no, that's not a toll at a time. Sorry, but that's how it works. The time burned down anyway. You just weren't allowed to do anything. I don't know the answer to that question. I could see it being argued either way. Brittany. That's a very, very, very good question. So, Mystery Sniper says, could he pardon himself from all this? Yes. Remember, the pardon power does not say anything except the only limit is you can't pardon for impeachment. Other than that, the president has a plenary pardon power. It is unlimited in scope except for that one thing. You cannot pardon when it's an issue of impeachment. Other than that, you can basically pardon for anything and everything. The pardon power is a political tool. It's a massive political tool that's like a nuke, but is a political power the president enjoys. So yes, I don't think there's anything stopping him from pardoning himself. Brittany says, wouldn't you need to file a stay? No. Now, I'm surprised they haven't brought up the argument or they did the research ahead of time, because they've got the money and the time and smart people. But you don't have to file a stay because the court can't stay it. There's immunity. So the immunity kicks in, they can't do anything. Now, and a court might say, we're not going to address this matter until 2029. I could see a court kicking the can down the road. So that would probably be the issue there. But no, there's not automatically ever a stay. The court can't necessarily stay the statute of limitations on its own anyway. The statute of limitations, that's like a head coach trying to stop the clock. Other than calling your timeout, but you only get a little bit of time and then it keeps ticking away again. So think of the prosecution as a player on the field, and then you got to look at Judge Chuckin, and she can stop the clock, but you can't play while the clock is stopped. And then the clock has to start again. So she can't add more time typically. So, and once the case is dismissed, there's nothing to stay ultimately. Once you dismiss the case, it's gone, it's dead. So now you file anything else, the judge is going to say you dismissed it, the case is over, you're done, go home. There's nothing left here. So I think the DOJ just cut their losses and they'll worry about it when they get to 2029. That is ultimately what I would argue they're doing. That's ultimately what I'd argue they're doing. Unless you're the Bears head coach, you let the clock run out. Oh, no. That doesn't sound like that was a good thing. I don't know, chat. I don't know about that. All right, so we are all done with the issues regarding Trump. Hold on here. All right, so where are we at? Hold on here. We gotta cancel out of some things here so we can keep track of where we are as we go. All right, guys. So moving on from there, Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny's trial at this point is we are to the end. We're at the end of Daniel Penny's trial. If you guys were not aware, as of Friday last week, Daniel Penny, the defense rested. And yeah, we'll find out. Now, what's going to happen? If you guys remember, he is the guy on the subway in New York who basically put the crazy guy, Jordan Neely, a black guy, in a headlock, which they're claiming was like a sleeper hold, and basically choked him out, killed him. Although ultimately we found out he wasn't dead yet at the time. And there were just a lot of issues around what he did or did not do at that point. And other people helped hold him down as well. If you guys have never... Hold on, if I can find that picture here. This is a picture. It's a pretty good picture of it if you guys have never seen it before. Here's Daniel Penny. And here's Daniel Penny. If you guys remember, this is his picture here. This is him. Oh, why are we? This is him putting the guy down on the subway. Remember, this is Jordan Neely, and Jordan Neely was the guy running around screaming about how he wasn't afraid to go to prison. He was going to hurt everybody. This is him threatening everyone on the subway. And then this is Daniel Penny being the Chad in the back. And then obviously this is Daniel Penny going to court. So it's out of everybody's hands at this point. The jury has it, and we'll find out what they decide going forward. Did he get found not guilty yet? No, we don't have an answer for that yet. We're not to that point yet. So that is basically they're not done yet, chat. Ultimately, the jury was sent home this week. So they will do closing arguments next week. And remember, sadly, we can't watch this trial. Really sucks. But right now it's out of their hands. They made a motion to dismiss on Monday. The court's not going to grant that. So Daniel Penny goes to closing arguments next week, and we go forward from there. Key Lancer says he's going to get convicted. Ain't no way he gets an impartial jury. See, I don't think that's correct. I think he will get a fair jury. Remember, ultimately, all these people, he has a jury full of people who live in Manhattan, and guess what? They ride the subway. They know there's crazy, violent people on the subway. They've been on the subway when crazy, violent people have been there. I guarantee you he gets a fair jury. He might not get acquitted, but certainly it's going to get a hung jury. And I think it's going to happen very, 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 very quickly. What I would tell you is, and I would start here, this is a good example of how things are going. The New York Post, in an editorial, and this is from their editorial board, has said the house of cards against Daniel Penny is falling apart. So I think it's actually a very big statement when the press is out there, hollering along that this is going to be game over. I think it's something to take into consideration. It's something you should take into consideration. I think it's very important. I think it's very, very important to look at. And they talk about, this was on Friday they rested. And here's the thing. And this is where, this is actually pretty good because it recaps a bunch of stuff. But it was mainly prosecution witnesses. Guys, remember, there were a lot of prosecution witnesses. And these people, the fellow passengers on the train, one was a veteran subway rider. He was terror-stricken. And they felt trapped in the train with an angry, an unstable, and a threatening man. Woman said she was scared shitless. And he said, I don't give a damn. I will kill a motherfucker. I'm ready to die. And she, among other people, stuck around to thank Daniel Penny for defending her. And we already talked about this one, a high school student. We covered her phone call. We did it about a week or two ago. That kid, this high school student, this person was terrified. They were terrified of Jordan Neely because he was acting like a lunatic. You know, she was so nervous she feared she was going to pass out. And she didn't hear anybody yell at Penny to let him go. But I mean, think about it. You're so nervous you're going to pass out. How nervous do you have to be that you think you're going to pass out? That's pretty bad. And a third person said that Daniel Penny restrained Neely so he wouldn't attack anybody. You know, that he was defending others. And certainly he's got a very good defense for self-defense and defense of others. You know, and they point out, in short, the prosecution offered up plenty of evidence that he acted rationally and bravery in a harrowing situation. And the defense's own pathologist said that the chokehold wasn't what killed Jordan Neely, but the effects of his sickle cell anemia, his schizophrenia, the struggle, the restraint, the fact he was on cocaine and synthetic marijuana, you know, the fact he was in poor health, all those things are the reasons why he died. You know, that Neely had taken K2, and it could trigger psychosis. And yeah, we also found out that Jordan Neely was still alive when cops showed up. So yeah, there you go. And the closing arguments start December 2nd. But think about it, the New York Post editorial board, and I know the New York Post is a little more right-leaning, but even then, they're like, bruh, this is bad. This is bad. I mean, that says a lot, chat. And I think it says a lot you should look at. Daniel Penny did end up talking to the police, and that interview has been released, and I'm hoping we'll have time to go over that this weekend. Lark Stream says, so he died in police custody. Well, to be fair, he was in the process of dying, I think, is probably the ultimate issue here. The fact that, like, he had been in an elevated heart rate and the drugs and like all that, like, at that point, him dying was like kind of like a fait accompli. Like, it was going to happen anyway. So, yeah, they should never have charged him. And I wish it was streamed too. 10K View says, did the coroner clearly determine that Penny's actions were not the primary reason? No, the actual coroner determined it was homicide. So, and she believes Daniel Penny's actions contributed to the death. But that was Daniel Penny's own medical expert, so. So, yeah, good luck to Daniel Penny. Hope he wins. He deserves to win. He deserves to win, chat. Eliza's saying, is a coroner appointed? Typically, coroners and medical examiners, they might hire subsequent people to work for him, but the office of a coroner or medical examiner is typically an elected official. The coroner is an elected official usually. So that is kind of how they do it. I think even in New York, that is how it's done. Job well done says Aaron sent me license plates. No, he did not. I can tell you that much right now. He didn't send me shit. These are from someone else, and you'll have no idea who sent them. Kimbo says, I've never had elected a coroner. You probably have elected a medical examiner or something like that. So it was Kimbo. No, it was not Kimbo. All right, guys. So we are. Nick isn't making amends. No, that's not from Nick. Alex says, I've never elected one either. Really? I mean, I vote for county coroner all the time. It's a position, man. 10KV says, do Americans vote for the dog catcher too? Yes, in many places you do. That's why it's a joke. All right, guys. So we got a couple of super chats here and other comments we got to get to real quick. EDW Raptor says, "Happy Thanksgiving, especially to Bears coach Eberflus for saving that last time out today for leftovers. Go Lions." Well, congrats to the Lions. And then EDW Raptor out the gate also with 10 subs, chat. 10 subs. And then Stardust Creator has been a member for 3 months. Says, "Happy Thanksgiving." Well, happy Thanksgiving to you. And like I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're able to be with family and friends. If you weren't able to be with family and friends, I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully you're here right now and we're kind of having some fun and kind of making up for that because it does suck. It does suck when you can't do that. And Hunch the Dirty Roofer gifted 10 subs. Thank you, Hunch. Thanks for the support and your generosity, man. I appreciate it. Jefferson Post says making more license plates seems foreboding. I get what you're getting at. That's not what I was trying to get at here with these. Somebody reached out to me, and yeah, things kind of happen from there. And then Nick Kreuzer says he gets to 10 subs himself. 10. That's 30 total, chat, right there, right off the rip. We are praying the gray away here on this channel. We are praying the gray away. You too, with your donation, can help us pray the gray away, convert these godless heathens into good, God-fearing green folk. Remember, Grace, keep moving. This is a green town. It's a green town. And then EDW Raptor says, "We are going all night." We are. And, oh, yeah, here comes the snow. Oh, boy. We're going all night, chat. And Zeno the Stoic, real quick, going back to the Jack Smith stuff, says it's almost like that was all political bullshit. Yeah, I know. And then Board Activity has been a member for 1 month. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure says, "Hey, Sean, off topic, but would you ever consider going on Fish Tank as a special guest? That would be fucking hilarious. I would love that. I don't think I'm funny enough to be on there, but yeah, that would be hilarious to go on there. Are you kidding me? That'd be awesome. I mean, on the secondary thing, Sam Hyde well enough, he invites you on as a guest. But yeah, I'd love to go on there. You can help Alex Stein spread the lore of Nick Rackets. I know I would. It'd be great. Although I will say Alex Stein did a great job at spreading the lore of things there. All right, guys, we're going to move on. We are moving on to the, as PPP once said, the RQ, the Rekeita question. So we are going to move on to that. Why did I go to this? Oh, it timed out. Bullshit. All right, guys. So Nick Rackets from Rekeita Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. If you guys know him, he ended up having some troubles with the law back in May. He was charged with felony cocaine possession of over 26 grams. It's like 26.97 grams. What? Hold on here. What is this? I didn't ask for a verification code. Huh. Nice try, Fishers. So it's more like the CQ. Okay. Behave, good sir. Behave. Although, real quick, if we're going to do that, we got to switch. Hold on, chat. Sorry, we had to switch segments there, so we had to switch signs. But we are back to the DRQ. Guys, remember Nick Rackets from Rekeita Law? The police raided his home. In addition to the cocaine that was found, firearms were found. They were legally owned firearms, but when you have, illegal drugs in your possession, you can't possess firearms. So he got pinged for a misdemeanor offense there. He also got pinged for another misdemeanor offense of having children in the home while you have illicit drugs in the home. Once again, you may not like those. You may not think they're fair, but them's the laws. You may not like that it's a law against against the law to possess cocaine, but once again, dem's the law. You must deal with it. And by dealing with it, that means knowing about it and operating about it in such a way that you don't cause yourself problems, because it's pretty easy to avoid getting in trouble. And part of that is not documenting yourself committing crimes live on camera. You know, don't make yourself taking notes about a criminal conspiracy. Don't document yourself committing crimes, chat. It's a very, very easy thing to do. So where are we at right now? So Nick, as things were going, was just in court this week. He had what was called a settlement conference. And from what we know so far, they were involved in some sort of plea discussions were going on. Things were being had. Somebody from Kiwi Farms was there reporting on it. They took very detailed notes. There's a lot of tension in the courtroom. There's a lot of tension in the Rekeita household and among the Cocos. There's a lot of tension there. Apparently, it was very palpable. You could almost taste it. You couldn't snort it. You could not snort the tension, but you could taste it. It was palpable. It was not snortable, chat. But with that being said, currently where things are going for Nick right now, we are dealing with Nick's case currently on the Minnesota court system here. And what do we know that happened last? So things were set. Obviously, guys, we covered a couple other things here. Nick, and I forgot to get too far into this. If you guys go back through, we've covered the Children's Services hearing where the transcripts were found. We covered Nick filing his Frank's motion challenging the search warrant. We found the state challenging it, and then the court finally ruling. We also covered Nick's appeal of things, trying to go to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals then coming back and telling Nick, like, nope, denied. And now we're to here. So what happened? Well, Nick was in court on the 27th, and we have kind of a basic update. And from what we can tell, and this is it here. So Nick has another settlement conference, and it is December 17th at 3:45. Now, from what we kind of basically understand about these, this is going to be kind of the shit or get off the pot time for Nick. So December 17th at 3:45, he's going to have to come up with what he's going to do. Is he going to be a big boy, or is he going to go to trial? Now, remember, if you guys go back through and saw what he had put on Nobody Likes Onions, he said, I'm prepared to do something so anathema to me, and I need to do it for my boys, my sons, my kids. And then he shows up and nothing happens. So who knows really what happened? From what it sounds like, I'm betting Nick got some plea offers he didn't like, and he wants some time to think things over. Certainly, he didn't walk out of there feeling like, I know he says today was a good day. He was not the guy holding the cards that day. He does not hold the high ground, but it will be December 17th. We're probably going to find out what's going to happen. Now, will he do a plea that day? I don't know. That's an issue of Minnesota law I don't actually know the answer to. But it very well could be. Very well could be. But that's the date he has to be there. If you guys want to be there, it is a court hearing. You are allowed to be in public in the courtroom. Now, the settlement conference itself, there were people who were upset and were wondering why it wasn't being held where they could see it. Plea discussions generally are not done on the record, where like the prosecutor and the defense attorney are just sitting at their tables in the courtroom, just freewheeling back and forth in front of everyone. That doesn't happen like that. In the middle of a trial, if there's some like basic discussion, or you're talking shit one way or another, sure, that can happen. But an actual discussion of what we're going to do, we're not doing that in front of you guys. That's never usually what happens. And just telling you guys the truth, like, I wouldn't want to do this in front of you guys anyway. And that no offense. Well, actually, I don't care if you're offended. Don't care. We wouldn't do it in front of you, chat. So that's not abnormal. And then there's also times where going back into chambers, you might propose, here's judge, here's what we're thinking about. And the judge sometimes will tell you ahead of time. Judges generally don't promise you or tell you what they're doing ahead of time. But if you say, Judge, here's a plea offer, we'd like to propose this, and can we do it? There are times where judges will say, there ain't no way in fucking hell we're taking that. They'll look at you and say, like, you're insane. We don't really know. It sounds like a plea deal may have been offered that got rejected, and we don't know if the state offered that or Nick offered that or something. We don't know the full issue here. We don't know the full issue. We don't know the full issue. We don't know. We don't know. But at some point, yeah, I think Nick is going to have to pay the piper. So we're set with this. Nick is still at his Spicer address. He's not receiving mail at his parents' house. And this is set. And then this is just all normal stuff here. I do like this is interesting here where it talks of like the QR code and stuff. That's pretty cool. Kind of neat. I like modernization. Now, if you notice, who is also included on this? Joshua Moon. The evil Kiwi man. And then also who's listed? Matthew Harden. If you guys know Joshua Moon, the proprietor of Kiwi Farms, also known as Null. He is there. He is on screen. And then Matthew Harden. Matthew Harden, talked to him every once in a while. Great guy. He is the attorney handling a lot of things for Josh and the farms right now. Dealing with the matters for Russell Greer. That dumpster fire. And like, I need to actually go back. We need to cover that because there hasn't been a lot of progress, but some of it's been funny. He's also dealing with a case with Acer Thorne down in West Virginia. And, was also able to be involved. When we talked about covering the Alyssa Mercanti threatening them, which they haven't done dick about. Alyssa Mercanti threatened them, and then nothing happened. So it's very interesting that they're CC'd on this one. But that's because they previously had asked for the body cams, which, like I said, I hope we get at one point. Although, as I said before, we already know the house was in disarray. We already know the house was disgusting. We already know it was really shitty in there. We know it was probably horrible. We've read through the juvenile court filings where they talk about it took a whole team of Nick, Kayla. I'm presuming April helped out too, unless she was sitting in the corner just, busting rails. But Nick's parents, and it sounds like Kayla's parents or other adults, were involved, a team of adults, and it took them a weekend, a holiday weekend, a 3-day weekend, to clean out that house, and only then was it tolerable. Not that it was spick and span, but it was tolerable. So I'm sure he's terrified of showing all that. I also know Nick doesn't want us to see him taking the warrant and throwing it on the ground. And I'm sure that it's not included in the description, but I'm sure we'll see him in some sort of stimming tism where he's like, I'm sure he's going to be doing that. Maybe he's crying too. We don't know. That's not included in the reports, but I'm sure he's not just sitting there going like, every time. We'll find out. Moving on from there, the case against Kayla, his wife, that case has been chugging along through the court system. And she has a companion case. If you guys ever want to look it up on the Minnesota case records, here is Kayla's case. It's 34CR-24-342. Nick is -341. They're basically companion cases. What's happened in the meantime? Well, Kayla, we covered this earlier this week. They filed a brief, and in that brief, they filed basically a motion to dismiss. We covered that already, and it is just absolute hot garbage. I'm sure you guys were with me when I covered it earlier this week, but this is that motion. I think it's going to go absolutely nowhere. It was completely laughable. It was completely laughable. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens from there. But I think that one's going to get dismissed. And hopefully, my theory is Nick is probably holding out. Well, maybe Kayla wins. And like we could get her case, if she wins, although I don't think you understand that. If she wins, you're still screwed. Like you wouldn't be the first guy ever to enter a plea. Co-defendant goes to trial and gets acquitted. Guess what? You're shit out of luck. That's what happens. I think he thinks this is going to help. She's going to lose. She's going to get felted. She's going to get goose-egged. And then next, by the 17th, he's going to have to take the knee. He's going to have to take the knee. But we'll see. We shall see, Chad, ultimately what's going to happen there. All right. So the denied streak will be live. Yes, it'll keep going. Them L's are just racking up. Them L's are racking up. It's those L's will not stop. The L's will not stop, chat. And if you guys want to see the funny stuff, I did cover it before. So there's nothing to go forward on like that and talking about all the crazy stuff. All right. Will Reed says real quick, did you just recommend dealing the cocaine with guns? No, I did not. Please don't do that. Do not do that, chat. Don't. Nepa. That's not legal advice. Do not deal cocaine and guns. Jefferson Post says, like meme, I want the good ending, but for fuck's sake, Nick. I still want the good ending for Nick. Yeah, I'd still like it for him to come back in a year or two and be like, oh, well, that was crazy, wasn't it? But, Nick is kind of just auguring this in like a kamikaze. He keeps taking hits and he won't wave off. He's gunning for the carrier. Phoenix has been a member for 4 months. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate that. And then John Coleman gifted 5 subs. Thank you for the support there and the generosity. And then Brimstone says, happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, 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 gobble. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, chat. So moving on from there, this one I just thought was interesting because we do talk about a little bit of Fed posting and we do get into some, we do get into kind of some shady Feddy territory here. You guys ever watch some of our locals? We watched Dugan Ashley synthesize RDX, PETN, TNT, and other chemicals. Well, there was a similar thing that happened here. And this one, chat, there's just so many ways. All the ways I cannot appreciate how this happened. All the ways I don't appreciate how this worked. So a military veteran gets time served for making ricin out of curiosity. So what happened here? So this guy, Russell Vane, is a former member of the Marine Corps. He worked in the intelligence community, and he made ricin. He got caught making ricin after he started making contacts with the Virginia militia. He was sentenced to Wednesday to time served after the probe concluded he had no intent to harm others. Now, here's what happened. So Russell Vane of Vienna, Virginia, and that's outside of D.C., ended up, people thought he was a homegrown terrorist because even members of a militia group in Virginia thought he was so extreme that he must be a government agent sent to entrap them. That's a problem, chat. That's a problem. When you are so bad, the guys in the militia think you're the glowy. You're not doing it right. You're doing it wrong. No, do not do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. You can't glow yourself, chat. You're throwing everyone off. That's not fair. That's not fair. Now, that said, this guy's got enough things going on. You do think he's a glowy because as you read, so when they searched his home, they found castor beans. And if you guys don't know this, ricin is a deadly toxin that's made out of castor beans. So like castor oil, like that's something they used to like take, that kids used to take. Castor oil, castor beans, yes, can make ricin. But he had also done some weird stuff like changing his name shortly before his arrest and posted a fake online obituary. Now, here's part of the issue. He worked for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency before his arrest. So that's part of the intelligence community. That is an organization if you got, I mean, obviously it's a geospatial agency. They collect geospatial intelligence. It's something they originally part of. It's a department. It's a DoD agency, but they are involved in providing assistance. They do a lot. It's actually pretty interesting what they do. So it's very. Basically, they also do a lot of photographic analysis. Things that the satellites pick up, and that's how the geospatial thing works. If you ever heard of them, that's their thing. If you guys have never seen it, this is their shield here. That's their thing. So, yes, the satellite glowies, yes, and they are, because guess what? Somebody's got to process all the intelligence. So yes, he worked for a very, it's not a massively well-known agency. Yes, in the intelligence community, they know about it, but it's not a huge one. It's not the NSA. I mean, how many of you know about it? How many of you know the 17 parts of the intelligence community? Like, there's a lot of organizations that are part of it. There's a lot of them. How many of you heard the National Reconnaissance? I mean, there's a lot of things you probably have heard about, like the CIA, the Office of Naval Intelligence. But have you ever heard of the Office of Coast Guard Intelligence? They have their own office, the National Reconnaissance Office. There are all kinds of things there. Like the Department of Energy has its own Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence. The FBI is technically part of that with its intelligence branch. There's all kinds of groups that are involved in this that you may have never heard of. And there's also ones you probably have heard of. So, anyway, this guy, it was very interesting what happened with him. He didn't turn out to be a terrorist or planning a mass casualty attack or even plotting a murder. Rather, he exercised some terrible judgment and synthesized a biotoxin essentially out of curiosity, wrote one of the prosecutors. I'm sure they've never actually, how many times they ever say that for anybody else? How many times? Now, the Ricin manufacturer fit in with a history of ill-advised science experiments, including one time he showed neighborhood children how to make black powder. This is hardcore glowy stuff. This is hardcore glowy stuff, chat. Like, this just doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Yeah, this is like a glowy op gone wrong. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. I'm just really confused by this. This is yeah, hey kids, watch this. This whole thing is just bad. Afira says my friend's been more paranoid since working for the DoD. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just walk through the Capitol of Curiosity. It's 10 years in prison. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so. This guy's a glowy that got burned. Yep. I think he's a glowy that fucked up and he girl bossed too hard and he blew his cover, so they had to burn him. That's really what I think. And yeah, he's like, hello, fellow militiamen, let's make a bomb. And they're like, they reported him, so they had to do something about it. Garbage deplorable bitter clinger says homemade black powder is a good practical history lesson. Yes, it is. But this guy's a glowy. This guy is a glowy. Yes, he got a burn notice, basically. Yeah. And then he got caught making some Taubin just for fun. Yes. Just like you're making VX and Sarin just for the lols. Or, yeah, HIV1 says it's not something you're going to do accidentally. It's not. You don't accidentally make ricin. Guys, if you ever, you can read up on it. It's not an accidental thing. It's not an accidental thing. Yes, this is like culturing anthrax for a history project. Yeah. Or like you're culturing, tularemia, rabbit fever, which is another biological weapon that's been used before. Yes, it's medicinal anthrax. Have you heard of Herbalife? No, chat. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And then Pitchlock says, hold on, Marines and intelligence? Sus. I better not let Joe Dolio hear you say that. Let Tactical Wisdom find out about that one. So, anyway, reading this, and we keep going on here. It's very, it was an old experiment. He wanted to see if it's really possible. Like, here's the thing. Like, I know I can make TATP from peroxide and acetone. I know it's real. I know it works. I don't have to go make it to make sure. I know it works. I'm not going to go make it. I believe Dugan Ashley's telling me the truth when he's been synthesizing RDX and PTN and TNT and ANFO. Like, I know he's been doing that. I don't need to verify it. So, even though he turned out not to have malicious intent, they still asked for a 2-year prison sentence to show the public you're not allowed to do this. Well, instead, the U.S. District Judge opted for a sentence of time served, which included 4 months in solitary at the Alexandria jail following his arrest. He was given 4 months of confinement, ordered to pay a $5,000 fine, and to sell or dispose of a bunch of guns at his property. And he says, I have lived in a deep state of embarrassment and sorrow for my actions. And the authorities learned about this after members of the Virginia Kekos militia, the Kekos militia, spoke to their concerns. Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, it's bad when a militia reports you to the government. It's bad when they report you to the government. That's never a good sign. Yes, the Keck Battalion, yes. Nero says, he wasn't lying when he said he worked in the deep state. Yeah. Afura says, the only thing I wanted to know about chemistry was how to turn anything into gold. Well, like, when I was a kid, I tried to figure out how to make stuff burn or catch fire or blow up. But I realized as an adult, that's not a good thing. Stacy says, some of us learn by doing. Yes, well, I'm just saying there's ways around that. And Brad, yes, that's just like Melton. You can't say it's a prank, bro. It's a work. It's all for the lulz. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, chat. It does not work. So what happened? His attorney, though, says it was understandable the government was alarmed by his flirtations with the militia. He had asked members who identify themselves as ICE and Sasquatch. Okay, chat, here's a big thing. Never self-gloss. If you're like, my code name's Sasquatch and ICE. No, they're not. No, they're not. Never self-gloss. It never works. But he asked if they were interested in manufacturing homemade bombs. That's what feds do. That's how Fed informants work. Hello, militiamen. Would you like to make a bomb? Do you want to build an IED? Come on and play. Let's find a federal building. They'll never know what hit them, and the bodies will slay. Since I contacted you, I haven't heard from you anymore. Do you want to build some IEDs? Like, it does. Come play with me. No. Okay, bye. Like, seriously. I know that was bad, chat, but yes. The feds never bothered with me anyway. Yes, Domestic Terrorism, the musical. But yeah, you can't do this. Like, yeah, and the thing is, this militia was a big part of the open carry. And when Virginia was facing assault weapons bans, and they had a massive march in downtown Richmond, like 10,000 armed people showed up, open carrying. These guys were part of it. So it was bad. It was bad. Chef Clyde says, Dad, can you please put an album out? Sure. CCKKK says, Stoney's is a money laundering operation for Steel Toe. Yes. Oh. Abafura says, someone told me the Anarchist Cookbook is illegal, but I was never even sure it existed. The Anarchist Cookbook is a real thing. You can, no, hold on here. You are allowed to own the anarchist cookbook. You can own you can own the U.S. military's improvised munitions manual. That's meant for special forces, but also making improvised bombs. It's legal to own those things. It's First Amendment protected. You can own the plans for a machine gun. That's protected. You just can't do anything with them. But you can read them. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be careful what you're doing if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, don't play around with stuff. Sean's Fed play still better than Wicked. Yes, Ricin the musical. Oh my God. Stace says you should own a lot of books. Yes, a lot of books. Luke says I wouldn't try downloading it anymore. Well, download all kinds of shit. You'll be all right. Where are the plans for the Sten? Those are out there. You can find them. You could own a Mercury switch protected. Yes. Okay. This is actually serious, though. Don't buy the ingredients. You can buy all kinds of information. You can download plans. But no, don't assemble materials. That 10K view, I'm being serious. Don't fucking do that. That is do not do that. That is bad news. Don't fuck around with that. This is 100% serious. This is real talk. Don't fucking do that. You can own a book. Don't get all the shit to make. You can own the recipe for making a cake. Don't buy all the parts of making the cake. So, no mandate said when a Minuteman 3's plans be okay. I don't know how the fuck you would get those, and the DOE, Department of Energy, be probably very interested in how you got those. So I'd be very careful. Midnight Nexus says there are no non-classified words that is illegal to own. To an extent, yes, but you have to be careful. You'll get a lot of it. If you ended up with highly restricted Q clearance material, you're going to get investigated. So be very careful what you own. Yes, for real, no cap. Yes, no cap. Pray times 12 says we are here with you, Sean. Robin Fox says there are federal databases of stuff you buy for things since the Boston bombing. I'll go back even further. People buying, ANFO, you're buying fertilizer, you're going to get noticed. The Patriot Act has been a long time, chat. There's all kinds of lists out there. All kinds of lists. Just be careful. Don't be an idiot. Let me keep going. It turned out that he wasn't Timothy McVeigh. He wasn't the Unabomber. It was Ricin production was like an 8th grade failed science project. Okay, if an 8th grader's making Ricin, that'd be pretty fucking based. But no, he's not. So don't do that, chat. Do not make Ricin for funsies, okay? Do not make WMDs for funsies. So Stacey says my pressure cooker got me on the list. Yeah. Yep. Anything you buy, just presume you're being surveilled. So Ricin cookers. Yeah. So don't do it, chat. Don't be goofy. Jose Rodriguez says everyone knows of the KGB and FSB. There's also the SVR now. How many know the GRU? Well, a lot of people. I think actually a lot of people know about Russian military intelligence. Thank you for the super chat. And Nero says, "Holy shit, this dude is Nick Fuentes levels of glowy." Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Chat. Morris Apple says, "This is worse than when the dumb ATF agent made Rice into the barracks room to try and poison a chief who was trying to poison the chief who was after him." Wait, some guy in the Navy tried to poison his chief by making Rice, and that's fucking hilarious. Jeez, that's a bad idea, but it's hilarious. Robert says the GRU is older than the FSB. Yes, it is. So, Super chat would let me use ass. Oh, okay. The dumbass who was an ass to him. Okay, there you go. So what's worse is when the dumbass who made Ricin in the barracks room to try and poison a chief who was an ass to him. Yeah, I can see that, but wow, that's pretty intense. That's pretty intense. Have I ever heard of the nuclear Boy Scout? Yes, I have. The radioactive Boy Scout's pretty cool. Larry Legend says over on Rumble, keep the cake and the recipe separate. Yes. Yes. Yes, keep your stuff there separate. Patrick Seven says Sean just had a stroke. Yeah, no, I'm not Mersh. Oh. All right, chat. So we are moving on from there. We are moving on to something that happened in Alabama this past year. This happened in February this year, and we're going to get to this. We start off with Andy No reporting things, and he says authorities in Alabama released a suspect who detonated a bomb outside the Attorney General's office in February. So this is the initial look of a guy they were looking for who set off a nail bomb outside the Alabama Attorney General's office. Okay? So they were looking, and here's some more information about the guy. All right, so they're looking for him. Now, from there, more information came out, and a suspect was arrested. The guy's name was Kyle Calvert. And this is him. I'm sure he looks like the most base patriot out there. Yes, that was a horrible gait. Yes, very pigeon-toed. Yeah, he looks like a patriot. Looks like your average scientist. I know. Look at the Redditor look on him. Look, true Reddit. We did it, Reddit. So he, was found. When they looked through his social media, they found a lot of things about him. So the investigators followed stickers that were being placed by him, which talked about anti-fascism. Anti-fascism is community self-defense. Gee, I wonder who says that. On construction equipment on fire and several trees in the background. This sticker had construction equipment on fire and several trees in the background and says, in solidarity with the wild. A black and white image of a masked individual wearing a baseball hat holding a flag which read, abolish private property. 2 red roses imposed over the globe with the words everything for everyone. Now, chat, if you're not aware, red roses, if you see them on Twitter or anywhere, red roses are the symbols for socialists and communists and collectivists. That's a red flag. That's how they're repping the set, basically, chat. They're repping the set. So as it goes on, they found more here. Topple all hierarchies. He found the A symbol representing anarchy with an AK-47 that said defend nature. A purple colored sticker saying feminist action. Then he had another one saying eat the rich. Oh, wow, he sounds like a real winner, chat. And then he had other ones. Like this one here. Yes, he's totally not Antifa. Support your local Antifa. Death to fascism. Arm the homeless. My body, my choice. And I will say, this is absolutely hilarious. They let fucking Nick Fuentes live in their head rent-free. I will give Nick Fuentes credit. He's basically done it. He's messed with them so bad. Saying, fuck it, let's riot. Never work. Friends don't let friends become cops. Okay, to be fair, this one, pretty much like Bubba base. Don't let your friends become cops. Don't let your friends become cops. Abolishing ICE. So yes, he's totally just a regular patriot. Totally a regular patriot, chat. From there, they did find a bunch of debris and things he had set up. This is all shrapnel meant to be in a bomb. So, yes, he's obviously MAGA. Yes. So he went forward there, put all the bombing out. Yes, don't let your friends become commies. Correct. So, oh. Oh, so yes, this is, when you listen to this, you're like, oh, wow, this guy seems like a heckin' good person. Do you think he's a good person? And hold on here. What is... Midnight XL says, looks like he's a raging faggot about 3 months from tuning out. Well, yeah, joke's on you. He is tuning out. So, yeah, booyah. Joke's on you, buddy. Joke's on you, chat. Joke is on you there. So, anyway, he ended up just entering a plea. And why is this not... Hold on here. Why? Hold on here. Why is this not loading up right? Oh, it's the middle disk. That's why I couldn't find. That's why it wasn't working here. Hold on. I was wondering why this worked. So with all of that, he went through his court case and he did enter a plea. So what happened to him? Well, if you want to know, there was some good use there. Let's see here. Where is this not? There we go. That's why it didn't work for me. So you guys have never seen, we've gone through these before with people with the judgments in his cases. So he got, his count was malicious use of an explosive, which is a no-no, chat. Now, he didn't try that. It was just learning defense. So he got the count 2 indictment. His sentence was imposed on the 21st. And what did he do? What happened to him? Well, he got imprisonment. He got 108 months of imprisonment. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. He did get a mental health treatment is available, and he's going to a designated facility as close to the northern district of Alabama as possible. And he got 108 days. Upon 108 months, after that, he's got 3 years of supervised release. So he's on parole after that, although they call it supervision. So yeah, there you go, chat. He got a lot of time. He got a lot of time. Good start for Antifa. He got 9 years, chat. 9 years. It's not long enough, yes, but it's a good start. It is a good start. So he's got mandatory conditions, and he's got standard conditions of probation. And it goes through all of this here. He's had signed these. He's got special conditions for release. But yes, he also got a $100 fine. Oh, no, I don't think he can pay that. So, pretty good start. I mean, yeah, rounding up the Antifa as it goes. But it's, like I said, it's a start, chat. It is a start. Now, there are allegations that when he entered his plea, he did not claim that he was involved in the Antifa, that he was working on his own. But obviously, well, I think he was doing that. So, obviously, there you go. So, that is where we are. The good news is there's no private property in prison. He can share everything with the other inmates. Oof, chat, that's rough. Sometimes, chat, you guys can be a little tough there. I'm just saying, like, it can be a little rough there. It can be a little rough with some of you guys some days. All right, moving on from there to another case that's going on. Daniel Penny, or we already did Daniel Penny. In response to Daniel Penny at this point, we also had the YSL trial. And if you guys remember, the YSL trial is the trial with Young Thug. And this is the case with Young Thug and everybody in his gang. And they were accused, the rap group, they were accused of being in a gang. Young Thug ended up pleading out and basically got put on probation right away with some time served. The other three guys who pled out all got some prison sentences. So I left two guys left. Two guys, Yak Gotti and Shannon Stillwell, were the last of the Mohicans. Ryu says the Baldo sign is still up. I know, but I'm not going to take it down. It's still there. It should be there prominently. So what happened with this? So these guys they went to trial. They went the whole distance, and the trial just ended. The jury's had it. They've been out deliberating. They went home. They went home for Thanksgiving. They're going to start back up when they come back. But they did cover the closing arguments. The closing arguments were televised, along with every other part of the trial. We can go through them if you guys really want to, but here's the thing. The closing arguments were like 10 hours, a whole day. The prosecution had 5 hours to present their arguments. And each defense attorney, Max Shart and Doug Weinstein, got 2 hours apiece. Like, holy cow. Holy cow, chat. Like, yes. But I will say this is probably one of the most banger arguments that was made during the hearing and during closing arguments. During closing arguments, the prosecutors wore red. And on top of that, the other prosecutor, the male prosecutor, wore a red tie. And this is what Doug Weinstein, the attorney for Yak Gotti, said. DeMonte Kendrick, this is what he said during his closing. It was hilarious.
Pictures of YSL wearing green clothing. That must mean they're a gang. You guys are mostly in blue and black. You associate with each other here today. Are you guys a gang? The state is all in red today. Are they a gang because they're all dressed in red? Poor Miss Hingerty happened to come in red today. I guess she's a member of the gang as well. Pictures of YSL.
Now that is brilliant. They did this as a show of solidarity. I guarantee they thought this was going to be cool. They thought we're going to look like a unified front. They didn't think to mention, oh my God, they've been running around saying gang, 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 gang. And the defense attorney goes, you guys look like you're in a gang. You guys are all dressed up together, working towards a common objective. That means you're a gang. It was fucking hilarious. And yes, Adam, correct. The state is a gang. The state's the biggest and baddest gang in town. They're the biggest and baddest bitch on the block. They look like realtors. Well, they should be after they get disbarred, but that won't happen. But yes, the defense, and you know what we actually might do, chat? I'll probably just cover the defense closing arguments. We'll work on that probably this weekend. They tore these cases apart, and they did a phenomenal job. So yes, nerd is better. I just want to let you guys know that's the update. So yes, we got Daniel Penny this weekend. I mean, today's only Thursday. We got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We will work on some of that. Yes, the state is committing RICO, 100%. 100%. All right, so that is kind of the update there. Although this is another one. This is a good part of the closing argument by Max Shart. This is the other defense attorney that was going. I do want to cover it real quick. Just what he does here. Just if you guys want to see them in action, just a little taste of it. Here you go.
So use the same test you do for those quote-unquote expert witnesses. What's his bias, his motive? How's he come across on the stand? What are his motivations? Well, we know he really hates jail. That was clear. So use the same.
So and they point out, and they just decimated things. J-Rock is saying, J-Rock with the lock of the week, the pick of the week. I'm calling it an acquittal for both. You heard it here, fans, from J-Rock. So we will find out. We will find out. I hope they win. I hope they win just because the state's case has been so garbage. So garbage. It shouldn't be allowed to exist. It should not be allowed to exist. All right. Now, where are we? Hold on here, chat. We got to catch... All right. Now, this is going to go back. This is a bit of a throwback to covering things earlier this year. Ty Tucker, or Franklin Tucker, if you guys remember him, he was on trial down in Key West, Florida, and he was in charge of, he defended himself, and he defended himself to a hung jury earlier this year, and they were trying to figure out what's going on. Well, there has been a resolution in this case, and normally I would say, yes, he defended himself, and he basically got a W. He got a hung jury, which is important. The state was seeking to retry him, and things have kind of drug on the past couple of months. But there's now a resolution to this case. Yeah, it's not too shabby, and I will admit that he won. He got the dub. Does that mean you should look at this and think you can do it? I would never make that recommendation. I don't think you should. But there is a resolution to this case, and it's done all the way. He ended up, he's a free man because this week, and I tried looking for video of it and I couldn't find it. There was a plea deal taken this year. So there was a plea agreement on Tuesday, and he was released from jail. He had some bond issues. They ended up arresting him on. He spent a couple of months in jail so far. But they point out the 7-year crime saga is over. He entered a plea deal and was released from jail on November 26th. He got time served. He pled guilty to one kind of robbery with a deadly weapon, while the other charges of aggravated assault and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon while masked and tampering with evidence were marked as nolli prosequi. So there you go. Meaning they got dismissed. So they're all done. He's out. He got time served. Yeah, and he's done with that. So it's over. He was initially charged with robbery, homicide, and aggravated assault and battery. And he was accused of basically going after people for, it was like a drug robbery gone wrong, and they were collecting on a drug debt was the allegations. So he represented himself back in January, but a hung jury forced the judge to declare a mistrial. They wanted to try him again. But, he's been released. And was released having fulfilled his sentence for the robbery. So he was the court sentenced him to 910 days of incarceration, which he received credit for 910 days. So he's done. That's it. Now, if you guys remember, he accused everybody of being involved in this. He accused the sheriff's office of orchestrating the robbery. He accused the judge of being involved. So, yeah, it's done. And if you guys remember, he was married to one of the founders, I think, of CrossFit or somebody very big in it who had a ton of money. His bond got posted, and then he had a higher bond that he got out on. He had a massive legal team. He ended up firing them as they got ready. I think a couple people have interviewed him. And honestly, good on him. I mean, he got the win. So, yeah, anyways, he goes home. And it's over. That one's done. Like I said, does that mean you should ever do this? Nope, but be very careful. Pyrometer says, hey, Nick, someone won a case for once. Yes, someone did. Travion Washington says, I'm going to a gnarly Prosecco on New Year's. That's a good idea. Hella says, I've interviewed him 4 times. Awesome. If you guys remember, Hella from Excited Utterance does Hearsay for Days every Sunday at 4. And I believe earlier today she did a stream. Well, I'm not sure. Forget if you did or not, but I think you said you did. His wife is a co-founder of CrossFit. Yes. Now, does that mean to do this? No, I don't ever recommend doing it. He got away with it. That doesn't mean you will. And Kyle Anderson says, what's a hung jury? A hung jury is where they sit down and say, Judge, we can't come to an agreement. We can't say guilty or not guilty. There was some sort of issue where they were not agreeing together. So, yeah. And we actually covered this, I think, when it happened. The actual verdict came out. So, oh, he divorced her in jail for financial reasons. Oh, wow. So that is a update there, chat. He has ended up playing out. Another case update on things are the Menendez brothers. You guys remember Lionel and Eric Menendez? The prosecution was going forward to seek a reduction in resentencing for them, and then it was going to be up to the judge to decide he wants to do. You guys remember, here are Lionel and Eric back in 1994. But the judge delayed his resentencing hearing for them. So the judge delayed a scheduled resentencing hearing for Lionel and Eric. The judge said that he wanted to push it back because he wanted to give the new district attorney. And this is an issue because George Gascon was voted resoundingly out of office. So George Gascon lost, and he got drubbed. George Gascon was one of the Soros-elected prosecutors, and he got BTFO'd. Really bad. Really, really bad, guys. It was brutal. It was brutal. If you guys, here's just so you know from CBS, they talk about it. Here you go. 20 points. He lost by 20 points. By 20 points. By 20 points, chat. Yeah, so he's done. He's done. Now, here's the issue. George Gascon may have made that statement about, I want that for them. But guess what? The new prosecutor is not bound by it. The new prosecutor can say, sorry, change of direction. I'm not bound by that decision, so we're going to go this way instead. Fuck those guys. Yes, the guy who ran against him ran as an independent, but he's really a Republican. Yeah, but you're a Republican in LA County. Are you really a Republican? No. I mean, at the end of the day, are you truly a Republican? I don't think so. But yeah, so the judge gave them time the hearing was originally scheduled for December 11th. Will get pushed to January 30th because that way they need time to figure out what they're doing. We don't know what's going to happen. So we'll find out. We will find out. Ultimately, remember, all the family were asking to. A lot of family was gathered around saying, "Hey, we want to get together. We want to get together there. We want them released." It turns out the dad was abusing everybody and was really creepy and a big piece of shit. But that never panned out. So it's going to be interesting. Because the other prosecutor can come back in and say, I'm not doing it. Fuck you guys. Screw it. We're done. I'm not being involved. Yes, they were old enough to know they had other options. Oh, I agree. Yes, and Carrie Morrissey, guys, we're going to take a look at that this week as well. Carrie Morrissey, the Alec Baldwin prosecutor, she can't let it go, filed another motion. She filed an appeal at this point, which I don't understand how she had time for that, or it was still timely, but it's been filed, and we'll go through that. So let's see here. Where is... I am looking for... Let's see here. Where is... We are going to get to P. Diddy. So, moving on, chat. We're going to move on to P. Diddy here. P. Diddy filed another motion to have his bond modified. And Well, it didn't go well for him. And we learned a lot about what's going on with P. Diddy and what's going on in his case. And the government, the government brought some interesting stuff up here. And it does sound like for P. Diddy, he's got a lot of problems. Now, surprise, he did not get bond again. But the arguments that P. Diddy has put forward, that he should be released, like, Judge, you should, be considerate of what's going on here. Well, ultimately it got denied, and the government has made some very surprising allegations, which, what do we see here? Well, it's not a good look, Chet. It's not a good look. And the thing is, guys, you're seeing here, there's black bars of, highlighted data that's been redacted. So it's a 30-page thing here, chat, but it's really, and I'll just show you guys some of the big things here. So they talk about the indictment as remand, the applicable law, reopening the bail hearing. They're arguing just rehashing the same attacks. But it really gets down to he poses a serious risk of obstruction, danger, and flight. And this is where it gets very interesting. It gets very, very interesting. So they point out there are a lot of problems here. So they say he's continued to obstruct justice. They say, if there was any doubt about him obstructing, the risk of obstruction at the time of the prior bail hearings, that's been, resolved because he has done a lot. Oh, jeez Louise. Why is that? No, that's probably part of the problem. There's your problem right there. His risk of obstruction at the time, such doubt is now non-existent. Since Diddy's been at the Metropolitan Detention Center, remember, that is the federal holding facility in Manhattan. It's also where Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. But he has continued to evade law enforcement. Monitoring, corruptly influencing witness testimony, and further attacking the integrity of these proceedings. Now, there is a footnote here, and they say, since his arrest, the government has continued investigating the defendant's conduct and began receiving recordings of his Bureau of Prisons. Now, remember, chat, the MDC it's a detention center, but it's managed by the Bureau of Prisons. They started intercepting his calls. These calls in their entirety will be produced to the defense through a filter team prior to the bail hearing in November. And we already had the bail hearing. The government did not previously disclose these recordings due to the investigation, but is now doing so given the recent escalation in P. Diddy's efforts to influence the jury pool. But we'll talk about these. So he's done multiple things. He's done things in ways he has repeatedly communicated with others in ways that violate the jail rules and are designed to evade law enforcement monitoring. He's been using numbers belonging to other inmates to make calls, which is a very common way people will avoid detection. You'll use the ID numbers of other guys in jail. You'll do what's called a three-way call to contact other individuals. Now, what's a three-way call? A three-way call is basically what it sounds like. Somebody from jail will call their, P. Diddy's in jail. He calls his girlfriend. And then that girlfriend calls me. Pretend I'm not an attorney, but I'm a third party. Well, now you have a three-way call and you can talk through it. Now, the technology systems that are used allegedly can detect this and will disconnect calls, but they don't always catch it. Also, not every jail or prison operates with the best equipment, so sometimes they can't tell when it's happening. So you don't want to do those. And here's the other thing, though. If P. Diddy called me and I was his attorney, a three-way call, we no longer have attorney-client privilege because there's a third party involved. Diddy would always have the ability to call me or his attorney. But he's also called individuals who are not on his approved contact list. And he used an unauthorized third-party communication system to send messages to other individuals, including unauthorized contacts. Now, when they talk about this, when an inmate enters federal custody, he's generally permitted to contact with out-of-custody individuals, including friends and family. To do so, you provide a contact list, which includes everybody's name, phone number, and email address. The staff must approve these individuals, and you can't contact people who are not on the contact list. Additionally, telephone calls and all that are monitored to ensure that you're not jeopardizing the safety of the jail or the operation of the facility. And when you make a call out, you're supposed to use your PAC number or phone access code. You can use emails through the TrueLink system. Now, there's Jmail, there's Securus, GTL. There's all kinds of companies that do it. This one's operated by a company called CoreLinks. TrueLinks is a fee-based system where you must pay to send or receive email using the things. So, anyways, they have reviewed dozens of calls, and now they're saying they have them. We'll see. Of which the Diddy's using telephone calls of 8 other inmates. He uses other inmates' phone numbers to make phone calls and ID numbers in the approved contact list. To maintain access with them, Diddy directs others to pay the inmates through payment processing apps and commissary accounts. And that's how he's trading. He's trading them for commissary. Diddy knows that that's against regulations. At the outset of each call, you're prompted to enter your PIN number, and it says sharing of PINs is against POP policy. And you can get thrown in the hole for that, or disciplined, or have restrictions on your calls. Diddy's also instructed individuals whom he contacts, including family members and attorneys, to add individuals via 3-way call. Now remember, if he does that, that's no longer attorney-client protected. This is not authorized because it conceals the identity of the contacted individuals. He's used non-authorized message services. Diddy's used a non-authorized third-party messaging service called Contact Me ASAP. He uses it through 2 separate accounts. First, he uses a particular email address assigned to his son, which doesn't appear to be owned by his son, but instead appears to be an email address connected to this service. So what does he do there? Well, it's not clear how he's doing things or exchanging messages, but Diddy has exchanged hundreds of messages of text messages with dozens of individuals, including attorneys and individuals who are not on the contact list. Now, it's not clear how he's doing that, but it allows you, it's an innovative text message system for federal inmates to communicate with loved ones via text and offers seamless SMS conversion of your emails. So you use an email address, which is then put into the TrueLinks computer. And from there, you can immediately use a service to text contacts. So that's probably, they're not happy with this. He's communicating with people in a way that's not approved. Now, remember, he might say, well, I'm not on the list. And the other issue is it's probably taking a while for his list to get approved. So those people might be approved eventually, but they're just not approved right away. Either way, when you start screwing with the rules, you make it very likely for people to think you're a bad guy, because who breaks the rules? Bad guys do. Carla says, what are his lawyers thinking? I don't know. But here's the problem. His attorney's probably get a phone call and saying, yeah, we have Mr. Combs on the line. And you're like, okay. And you're like, pick it up. You're like, hey, what up, Diddy? Or we have somebody from Diddy's family or his entourage calling. You're like, okay, hey, what's up? And Diddy's on the phone probably screaming and ranting like a fucking loon. It's tough dealing with them at times, I bet. So, who really knows? Who really knows? But anyways, they reflect his phone calls on multiple calls. He's explicit about his intention to use statements to alter public perception and blank, we don't know. The defendant leaves no doubt the narrative he wants to is the potential jury pool's perception of this criminal trial. Examples of these efforts are plentiful, but he should be allowed to shape the battlefield. The prosecution's going to do it too. So, but yeah, I'm sure his attorneys are just like, oh, Jesus, did he stop? Notably, the defendant continued with these efforts after the court's order back in October, which was requested by the defense, prohibiting this sort of conduct. It sounds like his attorneys have tried to stop it. After the court entered the order, the defendant enlisted family members to plan and execute a social media campaign around his birthday. After it was curated, the defendant's children posted a video of their social media showing Diddy's children gathered around to celebrate the birthday. And it says Diddy then mentioned the analytics and monitored them and expressly discussed with his family how to ensure the video would be used on jury members. The defendant's own words make it clear his intent is to improperly influence the jury pool. Well, too bad. If he can do it from prison, you guys fucking suck at your job. I don't feel bad for you at that point. I don't feel bad for you. Don't feel bad at all. Do not feel bad. I just don't. I just do not feel bad. All right. Does this get relayed to the jury? At some point it might. But for right now, this is not, he hasn't committed a crime. This is mostly violating jail rules. During other calls, the defendant makes it clear his intention to announce and publish information he thinks will help his defense in this case. Well, we don't know what he's saying, so who knows if this is true or not. This is all just, once again, the black bars of transparency. He continues to obstruct the integrity of the proceeding, also includes relentless efforts to contact witnesses, including victims of the abuse who can provide testimony against them. And then here, this is an issue. This is where witness tampering might become a problem. He tells him to talk one of his adult sons, and he says a bunch of stuff we don't know. Who knows? This is very likely could be bullshit. We'll find out. And then we have this here, a footnote that's just blacked out, a blacked footnote. Who knows? Who knows what that says? And they say its goal is to blackmail victims and witnesses in the silence or providing testimony. In addition to failing to contend with the risk of obstruction, he also spends no time addressing the acts of violence the government highlighted. So, which one specifically? Now, I will point out, the judge denied it, and he cited the whole thing with Cassie Ventura, if you guys have not seen that, where he drags her down the hallway by her hair. And if you guys have not seen that video here, it's not the best video. Let me see here. We can. Yeah, here we go. Oh no, we're not going to show that one because they'll copy strike it. Here we go. This is going to show it, and it's not the best, Chad. It's not the best. Here we go. This is an example of what he did, and this is out of KTLA, but there's video, and this is the one where it shows Diddy running down the hallway chasing after her, and this looks really bad. This looks really bad.
Startling video obtained exclusive.
Anyway, this is just Diddy running down, grabbing her as he's leaving. There we go. There's the diddler. There's the diddler. As he kicks her. And then he tries to drag her back down the hallway. And there you go. So that was used against him, among other things, but it was the other information presented here that he did not. None of this makes him look good. None of this makes him look good. Who's the woman? That's Cassie Ventura. That's the woman who sued Diddy at the end of the year last year. And then the next day, Diddy cut a massive check the next day and settled the case. So she filed a lawsuit against him, and he immediately settled, like within a day. Kaz is saying, so why did she never say anything again? Probably because she got paid off. Probably she got paid off. Who knows? Although it sounds like Diddy was threatening to fucking kill everybody. But yes, he's made claims. His evidence is thin. Geez, where have we heard this before? There's all kinds of arguments. The defendant is also engaged in acts of violence towards employees and many others, including kidnapping, arson, physical violence like throwing objects, throwing people on the ground, hitting, kicking, dragging, choking, stomping, and shoving others. Multiple people have observed his violence firsthand. You know, there's been significant violence, and this is from another hearing there, and I also think it's significant there has been a proffer of significant coercion, evidence of witness coercion. So, and this is, well, it's the only example they highlighted. It's the March incident where he attacked Cassie Ventura and drug her down the hallway. Shows how crazy he is. Now, yes, they're using an 8-year-old thing, chat, but they will and they can, and they did. They can and they did. Now, they also point out he's still a flight risk. He faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years imprisonment and a statutory maximum of life. Yep. Yep, and they point out the steeper the sentence, the more probable the flight risk is, especially considering the strong case of the government. And they say, well, his counsel did a lot of steps to mitigate the risk of flight before the indictment. They've changed now that he's indicted, which I think is bullshit, because if they had already, and we had talked about this before, his attorneys had set things up and they had been working and showing the prosecution, look at all we've done to keep him corralled. Well, if they knew they were going to fucking indict him, why wouldn't they just point out we're yanking the things out from underneath you? And, you know, they just point out here that his new bail conditions that are being proposed are not helpful. And while the proposed condition was he'd have no access to telephones or the internet, except for talking with his attorney, it doesn't matter, because even from the jail, he could still get out. And he can't abide by the rules in jail. Well, that's a big thing, chat. Remember, bond and abiding by the rules is a great way to show the court you can be trusted. If you can't follow the rules, guess what? The court's not going to trust you. Also, his proposal to restrict visitors to select family members is not going to help. He uses his family members to carry out his conduct. He's asking his family members to help him create narratives to influence the jury pool. His emphasis on private security is problematic. And remember, he said he wanted 24/7 security that'll watch him. Well, there's no way to know these guys will work, and he might be able to get him to do his bidding. We don't really know at this point. And there's no reason to believe private security would be immune from doing whatever it is, because he makes everybody do his own thing. At any rate, the defendant's private jail proposal elaborately replicates a detention facility without the confidence that it instills. And it's very much something a court will not tolerate, because this sounds like Pablo Escobar. If you guys remember watching Narcos, Pablo Escobar down in Colombia, he built his own prison, and they let him do it, and he basically was guarded by his henchmen, who sat around, they drank and played cards and had fun and had hookers come in, and then there were Colombian prison guards on the outside of it. Like, it really wasn't a prison at all. So ultimately, that is what happened. The government said, don't let him out. And yes, the government won, because the judge did not let him out. Yanking things is how we totally got into this mess. Yeah. And then Bo beats Black Sheep for 1 toonie or 2 loonies. Thank you, by the way. Is saying your fantastic beard is looking especially fluffy. And I hate this when it's like my hair gets all. And it just. It's a little frustrating when it does that. So thank you. My beard's looking especially fluffy. It doesn't feel fluffy. It's. And I trimmed it up like I think a week or 2 ago. So it's still good. But thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, Diddy's having a bad day. Diddy's still stuck in jail. He's going to be stuck there the whole time. Till the very end, chat. Till the very, 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 very end. Very end. And then the last thing tonight, chat. A felting of appropriate proportions. a felting of appropriate proportions, a scumbag getting what he deserved. Ray Epps. Ray Epps. If you guys don't remember Ray Epps, this is Ray Epps right here. This glowy scumbag in all of his glory. If you guys remember, this is Ray Epps on January 6th. One of the people the night before saying we need to go in there, leading everything from the vanguard. He was at the front. He wasn't carrying the banner, but he was pretty damn close, chat. Look at him. Look at him. Look at this glowy piece of shit. Look at this glowy piece of shit. If you remember, they've been looking for him forever, and then when they found him, he got charged with disorderly conduct and got a sweetheart deal of probation and no jail time. Ray Epps has never done jail time. What Ray Epps did was immediately go talk to the FBI. And then in interviews, he has proclaimed that he's been involved and he put it all together. It was all his idea. Yes. Well, what did we learn about it? Well, Ray Epps tried to sue Fox News. And guess what happened? Guess what happened, chat? His lawsuit got tossed. He got BTFO'd. He got BTFO'd. Now, there was oral arguments were held this week on the motion to dismiss. And suffer, Ray. Suffer. So, anyways, the federal judge in Delaware tossed the lawsuit against Ray Epps. And I've looked at it. It's actually the motions to dismiss are like almost 30 pages each. We'll take a look at those probably coming up. It's interesting though. But yes, he sued them because of Tucker Carlson spreading false lies about the January 6th attack. I don't know how false they were, Ray, because you are a glowy. You are a Fed of some sort. You know that the January 6th has been a false flag operation orchestrated by the federal government. I mean, where's the lie? Where's the lie? But yes, Epps, who had breached the Capitol during the attack, later pled guilty to disorderly conduct and was sentenced to 1 year probation. Yep, and he sued Fox in July 2023, claiming the network had scapegoated him, the former rancher and United States Marine. Yeah, so he is a glowy at some point. Yet in a court session, the judge found that Epps had failed to provide enough factual evidence to prove the network and Carlson had engaged with malice. So suffer, Fed boy. Suffer. Suffer. Just take it, Ray. Take it. That's what you get. That's what you get. You deserve every bit of it. And if you're not a Fed, you're a little snitch and you deserve what you got. Too bad. Too bad. Too bad. Too bad, Ray. Too bad, Ray. I hope you suffer. Now, with it you must deal. With it you must deal, Ray. Hella says, so he actually instigated it. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Anderson Cooper says, Sean oversold this Epps thing. What part did I oversell? Oh, yes, he was one of the people instigating it the night before. He's very much. So, so we're gonna get to some guys. So we're gonna get some super chats and other comments here. We're gonna catch up. All right. So Don Giovanni, because you just asked this, says, "Yo, don't mean to derail, but could Rackets claim April's pregnant to get out of the plea deals?" I mean, they would have to show proof. Because I mentioned this before. I mentioned this over on the farms, guys. If there's any plea deal, even if Nick doesn't agree to it, the court's probably going to order no contact with co-defendants. He's probably going to order no contact with April because she's a junkie And, the court wants Nick to get better, so don't hang out with junkies. There's no reason to hang out with her. Obviously, Kayla is his wife, so they have to be together. But yes, Nick could claim that, but then he'd have to show proof. But yes, and then he could say, look, I have a baby with her, now I have a family tie. But he'd have to show proof. Vince Clortho has been a member for 9 months. Hi, Vince. He says, I'm late. What did I miss? You missed everything. You missed the secret of life. We talked about all kinds of stuff. And a job well done says, how many felonies does the average American commit daily? None. But the argument is, and the way that argument goes, there are a lot of things you may do that you don't think are felonies, which I think is a fair argument. There's so many things you don't know about. So let's see, where are we at here? Nick Kreuzer for $5 says, Matt, and he's talking about Fuddbusters, is a gentleman, a scholar. Bring that boy on more. Oh, we will. Jefferson Post is saying, and this is going back to Jack Smith, saying independent DOJ concept seems like a power grab. Well, I mean, it is. And remember, it's all about seizing power for your little fiefdoms. And then we have Howie Brown. Howie Brown gifted 10 sobs. Coming in here helping pray in the gray away, Howie. Howie, thank you for your support and your generosity. I don't think I've seen you around before, but thank you for coming here and joining us tonight. I appreciate it very, very much. Larry Legend saying over in Rumble, ship Ray Epps off to Canada and sign him up for maids. Perfect. And Mofolk says, speaking of Fluffy, did Clyde get turkey today? No, but Clyde ate well today. Don't worry, Chad. He's doing okay. I don't know if he's up now. I think he might be sleeping. Clyde had a long day. The amateur iconoclast, he came in with 5 subs himself. Thank you for your support and your generosity. I appreciate it very, very much. Jose Rodriguez says, I was going to say this is like the NYPD trying to arrest Spider-Man, but then I remember the NYPD has tried to arrest Spider-Man numerous times. Very funny. Very funny. John Coleman gifted 5 subs. I think I already did this one, John, but I want to make sure I give you credit for it. Thank you for your subs. Thank you for your support and your generosity. Jefferson Post says, like meme, I want the good ending, but for fuck's sake, Nick. I think I covered that one too. Just want to double check. Luke is saying, in this regards to the Antifa loser, if everyone owns nothing, then no one owns the thing except the rulers. Yep. Jim Cox says Antifa. Yes. And the name of some sort says, this is getting gayer than I possibly could have imagined. Yes, very true. And then Tim Tams, good to see you, Tim, is saying, do you think this guy was in the John Brown Gun Club? Very likely he was. John Brown Gun Club is the Antifa gun organization. And then Garfield says, could you ever see the Baldo being used as a weapon of war? I think it would be banned because it is so humiliating and embarrassing to use a Baldo on people. I think it should be a war crime. It should be a war crime. And then Snoop STP is saying most out of state New York, most counties upstate of New York are red counties. Could Daniel Penny get a change of venue? He certainly could have tried, but I don't think he would have got one. Remember, getting a change of venue is really hard. And remember, I think he's got a very good case in this community. It's Manhattan. Those people ride the subway all the time. Ask people who ride the subway. What happens? There are fucking crazy people all over the goddamn subway. They're everywhere. And some of them are really fucking dangerous at times. I mean, if you open up, like you hear about all the stories of like crazy people shoving people onto the tracks and shit like that. Ask people who ride the subway. They'll tell you there have been times they've been scared shitless because of crazy people on there. So no, I think Daniel Penny's going to be fine. He's probably going to walk. He should walk. I mean, there were witnesses on the train who were like, I was terrified for my safety. I'm glad he did something. Bam, that's reasonable doubt right there. He acted in self-defense. Jefferson Post has been on 2 juries. 10 hours would mind numb me. Yeah, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. But, your mind's already numb. You've been there for almost a year already, so you probably don't care at this point anyway. Garfield says, I never got invited to the Diddy parties because I'm a nerd. I know. I don't destigmatize the bedroom chat, and I don't lend my principles as like temporary fixtures of value or something. I don't really understand all that. Really kind of weird. But yeah, I don't do that. I'm not funny and weird. And then Aaron Hack for $10. Hi, Aaron. How are you? Is saying, off-topic question, but Dr. William Husel. And guys, he's a trial we covered back at the beginning of 2023. He was a doctor accused of murdering about 20 patients here in Columbus, Ohio, because he was loading them up with fentanyl and then they were slowly dying. Now, keep in mind, these patients were very sick. They were in the process of dying anyway. So he was giving what was deemed palliative care to ease their suffering. Well, they charged him with murder. And he got acquitted of all the charges. Complete acquittal. Jose Baez was his attorney. We covered it. It was really good. It's really good. If you guys go back, you can see it in the playlist. He is trying again for another lawsuit. The judges keep dismissing those. Don't you think he deserves one after what happened to him? One of the best trials ever. Yeah, I think he deserves to get treated right, but they're not going to treat him right. He won. That's his victory. That's what he gets to keep. So I don't think it's going to change there. Yeah. So that's I haven't seen anything about them, but they're not going to grant you anything. Yes, it was Jose Baez and Diane Menashe. Yes. And she did also the Matthew Moore trial that we covered. Oh, let's see here. We kind of caught up here. Midnight Nexus says none of those jurors were on the train and were selected to deliver a specific verdict. It's NYC and Penny is white. I don't think I think there's somebody like those people have ridden the train before and they've dealt with crazy people. I think they're gonna he might not get an acquittal, but I think he gets a hung jury. And if they do that, I doubt they retry this. I doubt they retry it. So where Tiger Ray says, was that the guy whose hospital leaked the legal risk documents? Yes. They leaked a lot of documents and did a lot of things that were stupid. And then Mofolk over in Rumble saying, would I get in trouble if I were to wear a jury nullification shirt to jury duty? No, they would probably kick you out right away, though. You would probably get tossed almost ASAP. So. All right, guys. So, yeah, we are caught up. We're all done. Under 2.5 hours, chat. I am impressed. We did a good job here. But yeah, it's been a hell of a night. And we are going to get ready and head on over to locals. So in the meantime, guys, thank you all for being here. Happy Thanksgiving once again to everybody. Like I said, if you weren't having family and friends you were able to spend time with, hopefully you guys were here. You enjoyed yourself. And we are... Yeah, too much tryptophan. It's a real thing. And June says, what's the snow looking like there? Well, they said it was really supposed to start snowing right around midnight. Let's see. Let's see what the weather map looks like right now. We have a lake effect snow warning. The temperature is dropping. It's getting there, chat. We're about to get hit. We're about to get hit, it looks like. And yeah, it's going to go all day. They think it's going to snow all day tomorrow for the most part. So we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, we could get anywhere from they said 8 inches up to 36 inches depending on things. So. Will you grow a beard longer before you come down the chimney? No. Yes, we're all going to get dumped on like it's a third date with Vince McMahon. Yes! More dumping. So, guys, thank you all for being here. We will see you. Like I said, this weekend, we've got Daniel Penny to go over. We're going to probably do another election show, post-election show, with some of the politics that are going on. There's some updates that are pretty good and very interesting. We're going to go to locals right now. But in the meantime, chat, as always, episode 140, chat, 140. But as always, chat, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. It doesn't. It doesn't mean you're guilty. I mean, unless you're Nick, and I mean, you probably are guilty. So, anyways, chat, good night, take care, and I will see you guys over at locals. Remember, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. We'll see you there. Use a promo code POTCRIM. You could join us for free. It'll be a fun time. So I'll see you guys. Good night. Take care, everybody. And have a happy weekend. If you're going out tomorrow, don't run someone over and kill them for a TV. Don't be that guy.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy?